on
Oh,
Zoom.
nice. Yeah, Pace had a live too. I think that was the other thing too. But yeah, it was a good time. There was some
Yeah,
we aired out some dirty laundry from previous folks that had done some lives.
nice.
Oop.
It's gonna be good.
All right, we're on. All right, we got trickling in.
Yeah, trickling in.
All right.
Pace went live this morning too.
Did he? I can't keep up with his schedule too.
Yeah, I missed the announcement. I just saw it on Facebook and I was like, oh shoot.
So is there a live right now for him? Or
Well, it was 7 to 9, but maybe Pace is still wrapping up. Maybe he's
yeah.
partying hard like you did yesterday.
All right. Well, I mean, one of the things too is I think we can go through if it helpful. Andy and Marcia, how are you? Deirdre, what's going on? So we can go through some of these items. And then guys, if there's something you don't understand or there's something in the side chat that you guys want, like we can go through it. Jack, same for you. What up? And we can go through
That's
it all.
good.
But at the end of the day, you know what we should need? Andrew, you know who we need in here? Kevin. You should text Kevin. I think you guys talk, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He signed up. Yeah,
He did, but he's probably sleeping because he's the lazy investor.
yeah, yeah. I'll send him a message.
He's our wholesale friend who's not in the community doing, they're doing radio and a little in TV and they're local and he literally answers the call. He'll answer inbounds. If you're not willing to sell right now, they don't even bother chasing you. It's that crazy. So they did about 900,000 this year in fees and assignments, and they don't really hold anything. They
Wow.
they subtail. No, they don't do any creative. They just do like wholetail. So they'll buy it, take it down, sell it, paint it, quick flips. And yeah, they do, and they spend about 40,000 a month in advertising. So what's that?
Wow.
40 and 12. So they make that their debt's 50% almost. So right on. Which you think about it, it's a lot of work. A lot of expenses goes out. If you're spending 40,000 a month on advertisement, you're bringing in almost $1 million, but you're only taking the low hanging fruit. And you literally sit on the couch all day and watch YouTube, he says. So like what's the room for growth? That's what I'm looking at. So we've been trying to tap into that. But Kayla, we went through the last, actually you missed all of it, I think, right?
I missed both of them. Yeah.
So
So she gets to answer all the questions today. No, just kidding.
I know. Yeah, there was 60 of us yesterday on here. So that was
Yeah,
pretty good.
it was good.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
first one too, right?
First one, yeah, there was like it was right before Christmas, about 50 people. What up, Joe? So
Hey,
um yeah, we're gonna go through here and I just did, you saw this, but we just went through had a fun time with the rap commandments. And went through things like the triple threat, like how do you get paid? Down payment, monthly cash, big payout. Um, obviously there's like funny names, trying to be fun with it, right? A little bit of urban, but it's, using the RMLOs and knowing like the Dodd-Frank Act, going through things like that, which is super important, right? Talked a little about lease options, cash for keys. So even if you're, gosh, landlord, wholesaler, you know, all of this applies. What up, Steve? So all of this does apply here, Kayla, obviously. Trying to get people out. Actually, someone reached out last night. Did they reach out, Andrew, do you know, to the email about the wrap that she just wants to get rid of from Pensacola, Florida?
She did not reach out yet. No.
Okay. So yeah, even after our wrap series last night inside the community, there was someone who reached out who said, like, hey, I have this deal. I might just let it go to the next person. If they want it, they could deal with it. This person's not really paying, is what I understand. But there's a circumstance. What I think was she's not happening. She can't afford to keep paying that mortgage, of course. And that was
Mhm.
something we talked about a lot last night, where, yeah, like, end of the day, you should be responsible for these. So insurance, another good one. Insurance is your assurance. Don't flex, protect your checks. That was really just again, what we just talked about, over leveraging, have 3 to 6 months in reserves for these deals. If
Yeah.
someone stops paying that, you need to still pay that mortgage. Know your buyer or things will backfire. What up? Chris Geddes in the house.
Hey, hey.
How are you? You still in New York?
Still New York?
I love it. What up, Jay? So Chris, did you tune in? You tuned into the first one, maybe, did you? Last Friday? No?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I think I watched it after. Was it on your YouTube? I feel like I watched some of it. I don't know, I've been running around.
Yeah, all good. I know you're always in and out, so sometimes I see you in, sometimes I don't, but we're just going through I was showing Kaila fast the commandments we went through last night, but we can rifle back through it. We were waiting for people to trickle in. And if anyone has any questions, by any means, stop us. But then always have an exit. Kaila was really the last one. Have multiple exits.
Yeah, I think your line right there, no deal is risk free. Have multiple exits is key for sure.
Yeah. That's 100%. And there was some folks last night. There was someone last night. Nisha might be coming in, but Nisha particularly has 2 deals, one in West Virginia, one in Pennsylvania. It was actually where Groundhog Day is, I think, is where she has it. Was it what's that called, Andrew? Poughkeepsie? No.
I just had it on the end of my tongue too.
Well, I was gonna say, where does the groundhog see its shadow?
Puxatawny?
Yeah, and that movie, was it Groundhog Day, was filmed there?
Yeah, it was my dad.
Oh, yeah. Bill Murray.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, what do we think we want to go into? Joe, have you done any of the raps? Have you looked at any of the stuff, Joe?
So I'm gonna be honest, no, and I feel like
Perfect.
I'm missing and leaving a lot on the table from an options standpoint. Just trying to keep up with you guys, man. It's like I get good at something over here. There's an innovation happening there, and that's why I love it.
Well, you don't need the shiny object. That's the benefit of it. So you're actually doing all right, but it's good to see like how you can look at other deals.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to, maybe you don't need to know how to go do a rap yourself, but maybe you get enough and understand a rap to say, hey, this might be a good rap deal. Let me bring it to people who do raps.
I like that even better.
Just allowing yourself to be resourceful and monetize on a deal versus, looking at something and saying, this isn't a deal for me, right? It's a deal for somebody possibly. So having that knowledge will just allow you to bring it to the right people to still make some money on it.
Yes. So here, this is what I did. We did a rap series inside the Sub2 community. They don't own this. We do. So I have no problem sharing it. So, bro, I started making one last night, but I didn't finish it. I started dozing off, but I legit have like a burrito, and I wish I had time to finish it, but I'm going to put it back in. But bro, you can see here, like the inner circle is a sub 2 deal. Just call it a sub 2. It could be a seller finance. It could be any type of debt, but the original loan is in the middle of that burrito, that wrap. That's how I think of it. And
Okay.
so, get 110 grand, 5% interest, 30-year, 590 payment. The only thing I didn't put in here is a down payment. So let's just call it 10 grand. You can go up to the next tier where the blue is, that teal, and that's where we're going to sell it to somebody. So we're going to take the original terms from you or whoever, and I'm going to go sell it, turn around, sell it to Andrew Murray. And I sold to him for 120, or I marked it up, whatever, 150, 8%, 30-year, and it's $880. So maybe it's $1,000.
Right.
And then maybe on the down payment, I paid 10, but he's paying me 20. So I'm going to get my 10 back, make 10, but I'm at closing. And then every month you make the difference of this mortgage payment. So for this example, it's 590 to 880. I should have used better round numbers, but I think these were actuals. I didn't want to be tested. I knew there would be someone in our community who would be like, I did my calculator and the 30-year at 120 at 8% is 880.
Right.
So that's why you see that.
Right.
But we make the difference every month, bro. And then when this person sells it, maybe one day for 150 grand, you might you're going to get paid out on the equity difference that you had that built over time. So pretty good stuff when we're talking about wraps. And I said right here, the 3 ways of getting paid
Yeah,
is that down payment, the monthly cash flow, and that equity.
yeah,
So really good stuff. I look at that down payment, excuse me, that
Yeah.
down payment here as an assignment fee.
right.
You know, you can get no money all the way to like, well, whatever you can get, but we've gotten up close next near $40,000 in down payments. So could be lucrative, especially like Northeast, man. I know you play up here and you know, our deals, they're rarer,
Yeah.
but you can also score bigger margins, I think, when you do get a deal. So
Yeah, no, this is very interesting. I do feel that there's, a lot of benefit to having multiple tools when you're having conversations. But the other side of it does feel and seem like, for me, I might bring certain things to an equation, such as maybe finding the deal. Maybe it's some capital, but there's a whole list of other things that I really, you know, probably have a gap in, if you will. So I'm looking for ways to sort of partner up or get some people to kind of come in on something like this. Like, for example, we've got the project up in Vermont that I've told you about in the past. We're at a point where, we're going past a year, the balloon is due, the private lender for the construction loan is in second position, and he wants to get paid out. You know what I mean? And it's nothing personal. It's just he just has other opportunities, right? And if I rush into a DSCR, I'm going to lose the seller finance portion in first position because any type of institution is going to not going to allow that to, or they're not going to be open to second position. So I hate to give up, it'll be my, this would be my first seller finance 4% for 40 years, sort of, it'll be gone before I even get a tenant in the building,
yeah,
So I'm looking for some
Alyssa said something there, and I get you, bro. And I think it's bringing more people into your circle. And you and I have spoken many times, and I do feel that apprehension. Like, I think it's okay for me to be pretty transparent. I've felt that apprehension with you, with like kind of keeping things close to your vest. And this is just something that I've picked up just having conversations with you, in person and out. And I think that, yeah, having that, trust factor potentially and having that ability to like, oh, it's okay to spread your wings a little bit,
Yeah.
and allow people in. That's going to be a game changer for you. But also, it's good to have that, the defense to some degree. But Alyssa said it. Like, what does the refinance look like in that for the Vermont deal? Bringing in someone else to replace that lender.
Correct. So yeah, that's what we're open to and interested in sort of figuring out. You know what I mean?
So yeah, so what have you spoken to anybody on this?
No, I mean, I've put it out on Facebook on the community page, and not really many sort of responders. I put it out on the Gator page as well.
What are you looking for private money? How much?
So to keep the private investor whole, or to make them whole to walk away, it's about 500K.
Okay.
And we need about 260 to complete the rest of the construction.
So you guys need about 800 grand?
We need about 710.
Oh, 710.
710 to 750.
Have you talked to Rhea Campbell at all?
Nope.
She's a great resource.
And then Justin, I want to ask you, like, if this is something to include in the discussion or not. So the area so Vermont has a very strict law for development. It's called Act 250. And it's basically to protect the environment because of the dependence on the rivers and the water sources there because it's landlocked. It's been in places the 70s. They just announced in June, and I just found out about this because they're building a hotel less than a mile away. That they're lifting the Act 250 and allowing unlimited exemptions based on the location. So Rutland, where this building is heavily populated and dense, and there's such a housing shortage they're willing to do dwellings. I don't even know what an unlimited dwelling comment means, but the property is located in an unlimited dwelling zone, and they're putting up hotels and 24 units within a mile radius of my building, and it's on 0.22 acres.
Yeah, so I think what you're not talking about ADUs, are you? ADU?
No, it's unlimited dwelling units, but the like, for example, like all the single family homes, they have a blank exemption to put ADUs on their properties now.
Yeah,
From any type of commercial or office to residential, it's allowed unlimited dwellings.
yeah, it's a growth. So Vermont had a big, we looked at a property in Vermont 2 years ago, and we didn't get it, and it bummed me out, but it was probably for the better. Someone did a really nice job with it. Long story short, they need housing, they want tourism, they want it just like New Hampshire now. New Hampshire just passed 2 ADUs per single family lot, pretty much saying to the local towns, you don't have a choice. State law supersedes, other than little things that they're giving the towns jurisdiction over. The point of my story is the Northeast is finally catching up with the rest of the country with some of these things. So that is probably because of we have old zoning laws. It was, again, like trade secrets. My secret, my land. Zoning was antiquated. People stay over there. You get a hotel, it stays over there. If you got rural, it's over here. Farmland over there. So those things are changing. And it's across the country. So that's really good. That opens up the door for everybody else, but that means you also have competition. You got to make sure your stuff's dialed in. So we don't go too far with this. We can go circle back later. Let's talk about this. The one thing I'll say is write down, you need to get a good pitch deck together. Write the word prospectus down, and I can share the one we have, but it's also just a pitch deck. And you need to get a really good pitch deck because you're going to be seeking 700 grand or more. And that's not a little chunk of change it's not like we're doing a little fix and flip for 200 grand.
Right.
So what I would say is get a good dialed in prospectus, and you got to go find a new lender or lenders to bring in to replace your capital partner that's there now.
Right.
And, yeah, so we can circle back later though, if we have time. No
Yeah,
problem.
I appreciate you guys mentioning, was it Andrea? Did you want, or sorry, Rhea? So, if you want, when we circle around, if you want to sort of suggest that again for connecting with Rhea, I'm open to above all, sort of all options here. Again, I appreciate you saying what you said about, close to the chest. I'm aware that, and I've also heard people like say to me that, I maybe have given an impression that I'm like further along than I might be. So like, I want to definitely combat that. I want to be more involved and sort of, be a go-giver here. So, please, by all means, I want to, sort of tackle that going forward in 2025. So appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll push you to it. Not uncomfortable. Well, it should be uncomfortable, but listen, it's just, it could be a personality trait. That's all it is. And I respect it because I've gotten plenty of things, and some of us who are liberal or like free on a lot of our, giving, you get taken advantage of. So, there's positive and negatives to it. But I would say Rhea Campbell is who you're looking for. I would not approach Rhea, Rhea Campbell. I would not approach her without a proper prospectus. She will tear you up.
Put it politely, just have your shit together. Yeah.
Have your shit together.
Yeah.
She will,
Because
she will chew you up and spit you out.
Yeah, she is to the T, super sharp. She'll sniff you out in a heartbeat. So
Which is fine.
Yeah. Well, no, it's really good. Especially
Yeah,
if you go through it. You might go through the gauntlet one time and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
If nothing else, I just learned something really good there. So
But then the hawks will come
yeah.
for the body.
Yeah.
The crows.
But yeah,
will come.
that's as long as you know to go into it, be super prepared and be able to spit your thing to it quickly.
Know your numbers. Yeah, that's all. So we'll get that together. I can share
Yeah.
the one we have. It's not
Cool.
even that good, I don't think. But
Hey,
it's
AI, right?
comprehensive. Yeah, no, it worked and people like it, but it's comprehensive, and that's what you want.
All right,
But-
I'm gonna hop in the car and I'm gonna jump on back in a minute here. I appreciate you guys. And Andrew, I want to say thank you. A couple months ago, CJ sort of connected us. You were like in an airport going to Montana, and you still made it happen and sort of had a opportunity to sort of try to help us out as much as we could.
Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely. I appreciate that, man.
You got it. Bye, guys.
All right, right on, dude. See ya. And all right. So
Will one of you tell Joseph, just like, if you already found a person to bring 500 grand to a deal, ask if they have any friends that have
Yeah.
that kind of money.
Yeah.
Like if that person has that money, they have friends with that kind of money.
I
I don't know,
love
Joseph,
that
oh, your
comment.
son, you hear this, but like your PML might have a buddy who's like, yeah, man, I need to park 700 grand for something. See if they have a friend like who can vouch for you and say, I love the deal, but I'm doing this thing. Why don't you put this money here? This is the exit strategy. So like instead of like going to find someone new, you might have someone already in your network that can do it.
That's a good point. You know, and my self-doubt would be like, why I'm a little bit late on this one. They want their money. I'm behind. Are they gonna go to bat for me because I'm behind on this? And I ran into some troubles. But as long as it has to pencil out. That's a good thing. It's a good point. Yeah, maybe there's an opportunity there. All right. What else we got? Anything in like, do we want to hit right out of the gate? I know some folks piled in. So good to see you, Jess. Gary, how are you? Good to see you again. So good.
Good to see you, Justin.
Anything that from yesterday? I know you were throwing some questions out. Anything from yesterday that you want to cover or you specifically would like us to cover? Because I think it's a good time to do it. If nothing off the top of your head, we can go.
Now, I still have a lot of questions about the wraps. I guess basically, I mean, once you cancel the insurance and get a different insurance, isn't that going to, force a due on sale clause? I mean, isn't the mortgage company going to be looking for that insurance?
So not necessarily, but you know what? I did a lot of talking already. Kaila or Alyssa, do you want to jump in on any of that?
Oh, sorry.
No, I love it. Good question.
Yeah. So anytime that the deed transfers, you have the potential to risk the due on sale. So a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, it's always the insurance. It's always the insurance. And I just kind of want to put a kibosh on that. And you are heading into, the risk tolerance of you are transferring the deed. If you don't want that due on sale call, don't transfer the deed. So, but the insurance, you're getting a new policy, which is going to be uploaded to the mortgage company. And as long as it is done correctly, it's still going to have the seller's name on there. So that should is the key word, minimize. Again, if you don't want any risk, don't do real estate. Pretty sure that's like slide 10.
Or one.
So if it's done correctly, the insurance should not trigger it.
Okay. I mean, I just leave the insurance in place and then I just get myself another insurance.
A lot of people do that too. And that's the thing about insurance is that there's so many different ways that you can do it. I would say there's no right or wrong. It depends on your risk tolerance. And a lot of people's risk tolerance are we're going to leave that insurance policy. We're going to get a secondary, or they add themselves onto the sellers. We kind of talked about that a little bit, like where's that check going if the oh shit moment happens?
Right.
And that's what we talk about a lot with our clients and we lay it all out and we go, you choose, you're the investor, right? And so what's your risk tolerance? What are you willing to do? My risk tolerance is a lot different than Andrew and Justin's.
Yeah.
So it's like, but if we were doing a deal, all four of us, hey, risk tolerance, you get me out of my comfort zone, right? But if it's me and Kaila buying something, we're probably going to be a little bit more conservative on how we do it. It's because we're like, oh, we see all the doom and gloom too. And Andrew and Justin are getting us out of our comfort zone. So
that's good.
The new policy will have, the seller's information on it if it's done correctly. So no, is it
in the seller's name? Are they the policy holder?
So usually they're listed as additional insured. They also can be listed as the mortgagee, because when you add more layers on, right, you buy it sub 2, it can be set up a different way. But then if you are then wrapping your sub 2, it has to be set up a different way. So there's numerous ways.
Okay.
And if you have an attorney, ask the attorney and, here are all the different options and then you choose.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And I won't make you go over all of that because I know you guys spent a lot of time on it last night.
It gets really weedy. There's so many different things on it.
There
is
There's multiple ways. And so, like, that's to Alyssa's point. There's multiple ways. And so it's just knowing what those options are and what your risk tolerance is. And if it gets denied, let's say you are primary, you get a new policy, you decide, Carrie, that you're not going to hold two policies. And so then you replace it and the mortgage company denies it. Well, then you could go back and you could try listing the seller and you both as primary. That's another option.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Gotcha.
gonna try to,
All right.
I was trying to create something here, and let me see if I could. I'll put it up there, but I was trying to create something, but I get a smaller screen here. But you know, you got your primary, your insurance, they're the primary, the seller. They're gonna be number one listed. So we won't talk about wraps right now, but then if you sell this to me, so now I have it, theoretically, like we either replace it or in the interim, I said this last night, I like to go in prior if we can and do some of the legwork. I try to add myself in there. You know, additionally insured. It's almost like prep. How do I put this? Going in a little bit early. It's like you're showing up to the dance early. You're picking out, looking at the best table, the best seats, trying to get in there. I don't know if that's a great analogy, but I just like to get in there early and get our power of attorneys all set. From there, you have a decision to make where you're going to replace and or you're going to put yourself, you know, you can alter it, but really you need to get yourself at some point because insurance companies are looking for any excuse not to pay you. You got to be this primary.
That's
Whoever the owner of that house is or title. I'm sorry?
It's called the named insured.
Named insured, primary insured. Yep. So, you know, that's the biggest thing is that primary or the named. And then you have your additionals. The additionals, not a, you know, the mortgage is going to be there. Typically, you know, if there's a seller carry, maybe there's something in there or another note holder or PML. But that's totally different. Now, if something happens to this house, who are they looking for? They're looking for that primary, the person who's on title. They're looking for title to match here and here. Now, if they're not, that's where we've heard people having problems. I have not experienced any problems like that, knock on wood, but there could be problems. So I think that's the biggest thing. I like to go in early. I'll say early to get a jump, even if it's that additional, put yourself on the additional. And then if you're going to, you know, I've heard wait 30 days, but we also talked about 30 days could be something happens. Ted Miller, a friend and partner of ours, he had this happen to him. And by the grace of God, I think he was an additionally insured and they burnt down the garage. He had a lease option person came in and they burnt down the garage. He ended up getting the check and gave some of it to the lease option person. But, you know, like by the grace of God, this worked. I would not chance that anymore. So I would try to get, what I would try to do is replace myself as the primary, number one. Primary, when you replace it, and then you add everybody else, you know, below that for additionally insured. And then just protect everybody. The biggest thing replacing is, and then it gets down in the weeds now, it's keeping, we talked about it last night, is keeping that seller, the person who you bought sub to, keeping their name all up in that business, right? Yeah. That's the biggest thing is we're flagrant all over that with their, you know, I might put their name, but put care of, I know the mailing address, everything. I don't put whatever property, say it's 123 Main Street LLC, or I don't care, whatever it is. It's going to say, you know, Lock and Key Property Group, care of Alyssa Ritchie, who I bought the deal from, with a new address. It's all up in there. So again, does that matter? I don't know.
Well, I used to have my insurance license back in the day when real estate got slow. And so I know that primary insured is a big piece, and it's going to be the name of the primary insured with the mortgagee clause. You know, the check is going to be made out to those two people.
Yes.
I mean, I guess I just don't know how to finagle that part, you know.
If they pay out.
Yeah.
They're not paying out a lot of claims. You know, look at the health insurance industry. Look at what we just went through. Same thing happens. Adjusters and fighting, and we've had it.
Yeah.
Even car insurance, right?
Yeah.
Adjusters. They wanted to put, they wanted to put used car parts on my brand new truck that got hit. They literally wanted the adjusters to put used parts on.
Yeah, it's like I don't think so.
Yeah, it's the same thing with house.
But we got hit by a tornado. We got hit by a tornado a couple of years ago and lost both our cars, and tree fall in the house and all this kind of stuff. So you fight through it, but I guess I didn't really understand that piece. But I guess you just have to finagle it for each insurance company or mortgage company as far as what they want.
Yeah, and that's why we look at, I think you heard it last night, it's some want a fax and confirming a fax. We've actually got receipt that they've received the fax, they accepted it, and then come to find out it was never processed.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Insane stuff. So that's when
Crazy.
we go back to wrap commandment. Let's go here. Wrap commandment number 1. Let's see if I can bring it up.
Hey, can we go to Andy and Marsha real quick?
You can. Oh, hold on 1 second while I'm talking.
Okay.
1 second. So wrap commitment number 1 is, getting that admin, that VA right here. I wish I can highlight it. Is really just a reliable someone to stay organized and audit monthly and audit these deals. Of course, your TCs are going to help get you to the next step, maybe get there. So, hey, we got all this process, but maybe they think it's done. Everyone confirms it's done. You get your insurance, you get your POA in. And next thing you know, a month later, you go call up or something happened. You call up, they're like, we don't have any record of you. And it's not accepted. That's when you catch those things by monitoring them. So commandment number 1, just want to make sure we reference that. Let's go to Carrie. Anytime, chime in, raise your hand.
Okay. Thank you.
Andy. Is he going to be typing out, or is he got his machine?
Yeah, he has an interpreter.
Yeah, good morning. No, actually, I've got an interpreter. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, my question, so I've got a person who, the family owns the house in Florida, and they've been struggling to try and sell it. So they reached out to me, and we've been kind of talking back and forth. The one drawback, well, let me back up. So the house itself is free and clear. So that being said, the one drawback is that the land is rented. They have to actually pay rent on the land. So I'm a little bit perplexed. I don't know. I wanted to maybe get back with you and see if you have any tips or advice for how to deal with a lease option, maybe a wrap commandment. I don't know. I'm just open and looking for guidance.
Thank you. So I think my thing is, it's free, but we have a land. Is there a land lease?
There's probably,
Yes.
I'm just gonna guess, yes, land lease. So my mom's house actually is on land that's leased, but she owns the house.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think it's
exactly, that's the situation.
To me, right? You just the end buyer has to know that they will never really own that land, but they can own the house, right? Because then you can go into, if it's owned free and clear, amazing, because then you can just sell or finance it and get great terms. And you kind of have that leg to stand on of, hey, I'm not going to own the land. I want better terms.
Yeah,
That's
my friend
opinion on
owns. So I think the biggest thing we have to know the terms, because my friend owns Boston City Hall, the original City Hall of Boston. He owns it. It has what's that? A good steakhouse. It has KO Prime something. Has one of the nice steakhouses in it, and in its office too. Long story short, it's on City of Boston owns the land, and they leased it to him for every 99 years, or it's every 99 years it renews. I mean, he still bought this for $13 million. So there's still value in things. We just have to extract the value, and what is the value?
Yeah.
So maybe land. What's the terms? Or a lease look like?
So it's a monthly agreement. So the person who owns the land in that area has got several properties, and they all pay their lease agreements on a monthly basis. Land.
Can we get terms? Have we asked, can you ask Andy if he's approached them?
No, I haven't asked yet. I can ask for sure. Yeah.
All right. And then what do we think the value is of the asset? So I'd say, what is the house? What's it worth?
It's about 95K. It's
Do we want to wrap it maybe, or lease option it, like we said?
It's a double wide, so
Perfect.
maybe I don't know about wrapping it, but that's what I'm asking. I don't know if we can or not, but this is new for me. I've not
Okay.
had to deal with a situation, so looking for your guidance.
I would say house, we're going to separate the house and the land. So land, keep it, 1 and 2. We're going to separate it. So I'd say is purchase price, and then ARV. So what can we buy it for, and what can we sell it for? That's to me is like, we need to know what type of deal we have or the terms. It's free and clear. So it's a seller finance deal. And then land
Right.
needs to make sense. Just needs to make sense on this. We have to just make it work at the end of the day. If those terms make sense, at the end of the day, I mean, like Alyssa said, her mom has one. I don't see a problem with it. I'd like to see what type of land covenants, what type of restrictions do we have? And then for land, it's going to be restrictions of use on the land.
Well, and it's month to month too, I think you said, right? The
Well, yeah,
land.
that's where you'll have,
Yeah.
there's probably some legalities there, because if someone owns that outright, I would like to think that you probably,
Yeah,
either
it's just
wanna-
like what could happen at any given month. That would be what
you have to look at the terms,
Right.
the paperwork.
Yeah.
But it's a double wide, so you can probably move it, is what I'm assuming, that it's still not a fixed.
What?
Who's that? Oh, it's Joe. So yeah, it's probably, and then we have to find out if the
Yeah, that I don't know. I can ask. I can
fixed
get more details, but
to land, which that wouldn't really be a fixed to land, because then you'd have ownership, I think, or if it was tied down. But I think that's where we'll learn the lesson on that one. But yeah, I would say, anyone else have any suggestions? Kayla, Alyssa, Andrew?
I just like Chris said in the chat, that depending on what the terms are, that would give more leverage, I think, for the seller finance. Exactly what Chris said.
Yeah, like if the mobile home can't be conventionally financed, that means they either have to sell it cash or on seller finance. And so, some, if mobile home is over a certain age, whatever it is, people know this better than I do, but if there's other things that limit the ability to resell that property, you need to be aware of it, and also it's a leverage point for you.
Yeah.
For Andy and Marcia.
Really good point. And yeah, it comes down to what's it worth, because it could be a really juicy deal. Some of the best ones are mobile home on land. And that's why I ask, what's the land use? Because most often mobile homes are great for wraps and seller finance and lease options. And most folks want to use the land. If you don't own the land, whoop-de-doo, as long as it's a good deal. But as long as you're locked into a 99-year lease, a 50-year lease, I know that no one can kick me off this property. So that's the biggest thing, in my opinion, is where you're going to have the problem. If they say, yeah, it has to stay month to month, I would probably, unless it's really fantastic terms, I would probably shy away from it, because that tells me that owner is looking for an exit at some point on that land. He's probably just waiting to pass the time for the rainy day of, I don't know, the highway coming down this way, the freeways coming this way, or, they're going to build more schools, and I heard a Walmart's coming, or I heard Jeff Bezos was putting an Amazon distribution center here, looking at my land. We've heard it all. So if you can secure the land, theoretically, the home term should speak for itself. But love it. Go make money. All right.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Worst
So
case
do we-
scenario, call Chris. He'll throw it on his shoulders and move it down the road for you.
He sold his, no, he still has his Raptor. He has his Raptor truck. He'll do it with his big boy truck.
Chris he'll just squat it on his shoulders and be good.
Chris has the world record, the Montana state record for squatting, right?
Yes, I do.
Popping squats.
Yes, I do.
Got to move to Montana to go break that record. Scrawny me. What do we have to do here? Do we want to go through the 10 commandments?
Yeah, let's rip through 'em.
Anyone want to go through see some HUDs, wire wrap? I really want to gauge. I know some of the folks have been. I just want to make sure we gauge it, Andrew.
Yeah, of course.
And if anyone wants to see the wrap commandments, by all means, speak up. We're going to send that out to you guys. But also at the same time, we did this whole little wrap thing. We did 5. This was number 5. This was really complex. You know, honestly, like showing how we broke down, how they break it down. It's really
I know
complex.
Jose was on last night. He had a bunch of good questions. I don't know, Jose, if there's something you want to go over right now, we can help you with specifically.
So guys, what we were doing here is, you know, we were talking about how to find these wrap buyers too, how to find people. Here's, man, I forgot I had this slide in here. This was last night we were talking about finding wrap buyers. And so this is when a house we had on here. I went back and went through the records at this particular one. So that's why it says it's sold. Facebook Marketplace. You know, immediately someone says, can we go and see it this weekend? Shouldn't be a problem. Did you see my terms? Understand what we're doing? Seller finance. Is there an option or a choice you gravitated to? Yes, we saw it. Okay, awesome. What's a good number to see it? Where can I connect on all things? Anita gave her number. When's a good time to call? Phone seems to be off or not working. I'm working right now. When's a good time? Ted might have called from a whatever number. Thank you. I'm warning them that you're going to see an out-of-state number because who knows? Bill collectors call. We're refinancing right now on a seller finance deal, and right now my phone is blowing up because of the lenders that buy the information or the folks that buy the information. I hate it. It's in legislation right now to get rid of that. But be sure to warm them up. Don't jump right into email website. I was making that habit of like, get right into it. Let's go. Let's get on the phone thinking we had something they really, really wanted. But let them know you're not a real Persian, you're real and not, but a Persian prince with a rich uncle who just died, leaving you millions to give away. We've heard it before. So is this still available? That's the one thing everyone does. They're known for that. And that's all they'll put. So what's the interest? What's the address? We're interested in option 1. I love that. Ooh, sorry, guys. Sorry about that. And really all it says is, I got them in the general area, right? So these folks were engaged. You see, and I just warned them, yes, we can do it. Here's the number, like going right to it. So you got to gauge people. You got to hear them out. You got to warm them up. That's all my point was. Yeah. Yesterday, that is one of the pain points I think that I forget that we struggled with, if anyone wants to know. All right. So again, side chat. Jose, you're good. All right. Andrew, you want to keep going? Should we go back into anything else?
Chris has
Yeah.
his hand raised.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
If anyone else can have a question before me, but I would like to potentially be like the devil advocate side of this. I am a wrap pessimist, truly a wrap pessimist, like 100%.
Me too.
I don't like doing them. I think there are a lot of extra steps, little things. So Justin, in this, like, what are the 2 or 3 top things that you would want to press on a wrap pessimist to have them consider adding this as an option in their business. And I personally love the idea of like if I have a wrapped option, just send them to you guys. Like I love that. Like who not how. Thanks for Alyssa. But if I say like I was a person like really wanted to get into them, what's the 2 or 3 things that you would maybe change? Say like, hey, these are really key in wraps. For someone that somewhat well versed in real estate but doesn't like wraps, doesn't
I'd
like
say
getting
it's
strategy.
I'd say it's great for people. Like first, I want to preface that like you have to be in the season of what you want to do, right? So there was a season where we did them, then we didn't. Now, if we do them, we're going to be more refined, and we're calculating if it's worth our time or not, if it's a good deal. So there was a case in time again, like everything, when we came in, we're like, this is the greatest thing. This is amazing, and we just were doing tons of like these alternative deals. We were doing, some, what is the word I'm going to try to dance around right now? How about HUD loans, maybe. I won't even say that, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about on some of you guys, where we were finding arrears and we were getting them modified and people were doing it. And sometimes we saved the sellers. Sometimes they couldn't stay in the house, but we were getting great terms. This was before the swing. This was like 21, 22, 21. Really good. We were getting reduced rates. You had a 4%, 5% interest rate. We got 2. Insane. So it comes with your season. However, I don't think it's a great newbie strategy unless you're going to align yourself with the right people. It is a really cool way to get some cash flow going, to get an assignment fee or to get a finder's fee, to get that first down payment, guys, because we talk about on a wrap, sorry for the doodle, for the wrap, I mean, we said it once, we say it again, but it's, the first is the down payment. So I call that the assignment. Chris does wholesale. He loves down payment. He loves assignments. I know that for a fact. Number 2, you're getting your monthly cash. So there's an active / passive income to this. Every month they pay, you should be getting, some money. Now, that, of course, that's deal by deal. And then there's the third is that, rainy day equity, the payout. That's great. Like I said to everybody in here, I have 25 wraps. I have not seen one get paid out yet. And I can't wait for that day to happen. Like that's just mailbox. When someone needs a payoff statement from us and gets mailbox, we get that check at closing randomly, mailbox money. I love that. Can't wait. So assessing all of this, there's a huge risk side of it. And I know that's where Chris goes. There's so many extra steps. Why don't I just give you the deal, get a finder's fee and move along? And that's great. But in our business model, for a while, we're deal finders. We find our own deals. We are the deal makers and finders. So I always looked at it as like it comes in the funnel, and this funnel might have 2 or 3 different avenues in it, 2 other extra pipes. What was that? Plinko? It was like an old game, but like it would bounce down and it would go a different way. Not the greatest analogy, but I would say it would go down a different chute. All right, here's the wrap chute. Here's the wholesale chute, and here's like either the throwaway and or buy and hold.
Yeah.
So
and I think like what Kaila said too, it's the risk and reward, because I'm very more wrap pessimist like Chris is, right? Like that is definitely never my first strategy. But then when you talk about it and you talk about the 3, the down payment, the monthly, the rainy day equity, you talk about all of it. You're like, okay, yeah, let's do a wrap. And so I think it's the risk and reward for sure.
Well,
yeah.
and I would jump in and say too, obviously it's got to be like what season you're definitely in, I think is the most important. But I think like if you're really looking for what could be an upside of doing a wrap is saying, I think when you look at a buy and hold, I think everybody understands that is not now money. And it's not necessarily passive. I think at some point it becomes passive if you do everything right. But I think wraps can definitely be way more of a passive type of cash flow for yourself. Yes, it's a little bit more work upfront. But then it's truly passive. You are not sitting here worrying about tenants and you're not worrying about turnover, right? So the cash flow will be a good cash flow. Now, and I think it's way more considered passive than like operating. Obviously, an STR is not, MTR is not, LTR, sure, it can be, but it can be pretty active at times too. Where wraps, I think if you're really looking for passive cash flow, I think wraps is a fantastic strategy for that, right? Especially if done right. Now, they can destroy you if done wrong. So like you need to make sure that you are buying the right deals or taking on the right deals as wraps. But I think there's much more upside in getting now money and passive money with a wrap than necessarily taking it as a buy and hold. Even if it makes a great buy and hold, but you need more cash right now, a wrap may be a better strategy for that.
Yes, well said. I'm doing some math right now to show you guys. But I'm trying to do this, so I got this. Let's just say you get 25 houses. We got 25 houses. We're gonna do, times that by $325 on the average that it makes a month. That would equal 81.25 a month. And then that's times that by 12. That's $97,000 we're gonna make on these houses this year.
That doesn't suck.
That doesn't suck. So there's $97,000 of reason for me to have, but again, there's a ramp up.
Yeah.
We started here. It's like, freaking like a Richter scale.
Yeah.
And these are all deals. And then they just get easier and easier and easier. So you get 25, it's the accumulation. Now, again, risk and reward.
Yeah.
But it's just another avenue how we were squeezing. I was like squeezing the lemon, squeezing that towel of all the water that we absorbed, trying to do that. And now we realized, all right, that was cool when I wanted to get really aggressive and I wanted to sit in the office for 20 hours out of the 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
And then you look at and you're like, all right, it's $100 grand. Is that worth me losing time of my life over it? Not necessarily. So how do we do it more efficient? And you just refine it a little bit more. So I want to be transparent on how our journey has been. If we're going to talk about this type of situation, I like Chris's question. I like Chris being the pessimist. Chris, Kevin was the pessimist at our live event, the in-person we had, and it was so good. It highlights different perspectives. However, if you can align yourself, I think the perfect scenario, no one asked me, but the perfect way to do this would be, I don't know, I look at it as, if you're a deal finder and you come across an opportunity, you just got to find, like we talked about, Kaila said it, Alyssa said it, it's the who. And if you could find, and I truly am looking to see if we can align ourselves with someone more or less in our business now to just be doing these, is just passing them over. If they're an opportunity, I go, and I told Andrew this the other day, I'm like, even if it was 25%, of that $400 average of the 350, I'll take $100 a month. At the end of the day, if we just put the right person into place, again, you guys, you can run this passively, where you're just getting $100 a month. Now it's times that 25, that's 2,500 a month for you to just keep doing what you're doing best. Do something else. That's what I like. And that's where we go. Then we can break this down into go to revenue streams. That's a revenue stream for us. It's just one of a few revenue streams. And I think those are the cool things to highlight, where if you can set yourself up right, you got wraps and lease options going. Okay, something comes due on sale now in Valdosta, Georgia. Okay, we have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to deal with one problem. We deal with problems all freaking day.
All day, every day.
Well, and then when you want to get really, really deep into this, I mean, you can eventually sell your notes, right? And you could get into that whole game.
Or you're gonna melt brains.
Not here, but that's to add on, add on possibilities of wraps and some of the upsides that these could bring is, sell a note.
Anyone have anything on that? I know Carrie raised her hand. We can jump to her, but I also want to bring Chris back in.
I just had a quick question on your Facebook ads. Like, what do you put in there? I snapped a quick picture of what you had up. Like, how much detail do you put in there?
Gosh, I have to find an old one. I have to go find it. Andrew, do you have any access to some of the recent ones?
I'll look real quick. I would say just enough, not too much. You don't want to go. We as humans, will take the easiest route possible. So if they're looking at something and you put in, you know, a 1,500 word paragraph, you know, like they're never going to read it, right? If you use terms that us inside a community like this understand, but you didn't learn until you came into this community, right?
Right.
Don't use it when you're out talking to somebody who might be a wrap buyer, right? So talk to, like, you got to make it super simple, you know, deliver it in a way that they can understand it, but you don't want to confuse them, right? You want them to know, okay, this is what I'm going to engage in this conversation, you know, because, you know, terms X, Y, and Z. So just keep it simple. You want
Yes.
them, I said this last night, no one's ever going to go to like a Facebook marketplace and buy the house based on your listing. So don't overcomplicate it, right? They literally, I don't even think you can. I don't think you can buy the house on Facebook Marketplace. Like, you still got to like go through all this stuff. So just make them interested enough to want to engage and then go and close them. Because guys, wrap buyers have to be closed. You don't just put out an ad and someone's like, I'm gonna buy it. And you're like, awesome, wrap buyer, let's go. No, you still gotta close them. You still gotta tell them that you're doing this wrap and the breakdown of the terms. And you have to expect that they're not gonna know ish about it, you know? So you got to be able to educate them and convince them almost that, hey, we're doing good business. Wrap buyers, again, said yesterday, skittish. So you start throwing weird stuff at them, they're like, I'm out of here.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gone,
think
you know?
less is
So
more. Maybe lots of pictures of the house and just, or not too many,
Well,
and just seller finance and the price, maybe.
I'll find more for you, but this is an internal one. I could see it says internal wrap breakdown. This is for when we would go in and we would create the terms, and then our dispo team, someone would take it from here, because I can also see that it says team notes do not share on post. Like, we have to be very explicit to make sure that people don't mess up, right? So here's the options we would offer. But again, some of the things we want to highlight is a storage shed. Holy moly. Some of the
But you put
biggest,
all that on the Facebook ad.
we would put these options. Sometimes we can reduce it to 2, but we do want to entice them with some options. Now it's purchase price, down payment. Look at the difference. There's slight differences. And this interest rate, at one point people thought, oh, no one cares, no one cares. They're, from my experience, again, I know that people get 10%, 12%, they do all these crazy interest rates. People care about their interest rates because it was such a topic of conversation, no matter what nationality you were and what language you spoke. Everyone in the country was all up about these interest rates. So we think that people aren't paying attention. They are. But yeah, we would just give some of these terms and try to break it down as quick as we can, or as easy as we can. But then Spanish
this is the most
biggest.
important page.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you
Right.
put all that out there on Facebook.
Yeah, we'll put a lot of this in here. And then,
Okay.
of course, the photos. And I would stress, even in here, I don't see it. Land. This building right here is important because it's got a 20 by 24 storage building. I mean, I can't tell you how many times people said they had tools and they want four-wheelers in their RV and their tools and land.
Yeah, we're rarely selling a wrap to a tech guy, right?
Yeah.
Who's like, you know, so most of them have construction companies, you know, so yes, they have things where they're like, they definitely need a garage. They need a place to park all their stuff. They like the quinceaneras. Is that what it is?
Guys going out today with the Latino.
Hey, that's awesome. Thank you.
Let me see if I have more. We have a whole thing. We've recorded every part of this phase of the process. Props to Ted Miller on a lot of this. What we were doing, we were trying to record all these SOPs and these processes. So we were doing is like all the seller calls. We have calls with all the sellers and buyers. Buyers. All this stuff we should probably slowly compile and put it all out somewhere. It'd probably take some work, but this whole process we've recorded, even to the point where sitting on and going through the numbers, going through the deals, all for our team, all for one of our VAs that's heavily in these. We even have checklists. We have a lot of good stuff. And I know our TCs probably have all this too. But yeah.
Oh, we have our checklists.
Oh, I know you guys do. I'm trying to find a listing right here.
We like a
All
good.
right.
Yeah. Carrie, what I would say too is, along with the post is really to find somebody that can help you, that can speak really good Spanish. Because that's just going to build the trust with that wrap buyer way faster than someone like myself, who's, well, like an idiot, probably throw in some like broke Spanish, in there, and I'm like, I don't trust this guy anymore.
Mm.
Like, I don't even want to, like, if they're not going to understand me fully, then like I want to step out because exactly, English. Like we have Maricela who just jumps in and has those conversations. One, she's a lovely lady, so they are going to trust her automatically because she's got a sweeter voice. And then she's speaking Spanish. She's one of them. She's in the community with them. She gets it. They trust her. It's like done after that, right? They don't trust the gringos as much as they do. So
Yeah. So let me see if I have one here. So good. I mean, it is true. And he's not wrong. And that goes with her why too. So I have a property here. Let's go through this property portfolio. This was one deal from hell. The guy, I talked to him the same day he died. And I don't know what happened to this deal, but he was in and out of our life, going through, gonna buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, or sell, excuse me, I should just say sell and then not sell. So, and then the next thing you know, he was like, "Hey, Justin, I'm going to sell. Let's go." And I talked to him. And then 2 hours later, he's dead. So, needless to say, we didn't buy it, but we would have wrapped it. But what we'll put together is like, we'll collect all this stuff, Carrie, too. Make sure you have the mortgage statements, make sure you have everything, and we'll go through the terms on with the calculator, and you'll see what I did here. The deal sheet, we'll do this little wrap, estimated, not set yet. This is me just spitballing on here. So I'm going to put this on here one night. I'm going to go through my calculations. This is what I was doing. And I'll just dump it on here and say, hey, when we're ready to set these terms and I got to have a meeting with Ted or whoever, we'll set the right terms. But I go through in this calculator. I'll look at what they owe, and I just play around with it. I play around with the numbers. It's that easy. And sure, it takes some time, but I literally just take calculators and do that. Get the taxes, get your estimated insurance, get some other costs that you might want to be associating with maybe your servicing fees, depending on who's paying for them. And I just play with the interest rates, down payments and interest rates, and I look at the numbers and see if they make sense for the local market, for the local area, and based off the rents. And therefore, you can get in a ballpark, and you can see I had a number that was 1,300 or 1,500 to 17 and 14. So setting different terms, it's that easy. Take a screenshot, put it away. Here's what I did. Go back to it later. We did a 35-year term on this one. So really cool. And that's how I would set this prior if I were doing it over. Then you go on to Facebook Marketplace. Let's see what else we have here. Probably nothing else. Thought we had a listing on it. Andrew, do you remember this one? Were you around for this?
Lumber tree? I don't know.
Yeah. All good. All right. What else we got? Chris, anything you have?
I mean, I love the responses. I will say, and this is probably the most pessimistic thing with wraps. I feel like I am a loan underwriter, and that is probably the thing that I get caught up on. Of like these wrap buyers, you have to be evaluating them, looking at. I know there's tons of steps you can go through it. I think that is probably just like the fundamental issue I have with this is feeling like I'm the person evaluating. Can this person actually come in and be able to do this? And I don't know. I mean, we do this. We assign deals, do all these kind of things. But for having it someone's be home, their homestead buyer, all those kind of things, I have a fundamental issue with feeling like I'm underwriting their approval essentially to buy a house, right? Right. Biggest thing is my base. Oh, sorry.
You're good. So, Chris, would you not go and utilize like an RMLO to do that for you?
I mean, the thing, like, I know, I guess and this is what I think my issue is, revolves around is I will use all those things. I'll use RML, all that stuff, but I've never gotten in the business of like wanting to be an underwriter in that sense. Even using that, that third party, I still feel weird about it. Maybe that's just something I have to get over, but I would use all the things. But
Yeah.
even after that stuff, I still feel weird about it. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
No, it does. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's a Chris problem.
That's fine. Tell me that. I mean, Jen, I am a pessimist. I told you that. I am the pessimist
No.
about this.
Well,
what I
but here
don't
you
like?
have to
The
think.
tribe has spoken.
Yeah, well, you have to think, and it's why Justin said it earlier, which was like we're trying to find the one person who can do it for our team, because guys, wraps will bottleneck your wholesale business too, right? Because it is a decent amount of upfront work. So what do you try? Again, it just goes back to like, what season are you in trying to do that? So yes, if we don't have a dedicated person to handle the wraps and to do that, then it's going to take away from someone else who's trying to do the acquisition or disposition of a deal.
Yeah.
So you have to weigh that, where you're at and what you want. So.
So then like you got the 100K a year, you look at that, you're like, that's the cash flow almost coming through. But then you go look at the other expenses, like what did it take to get there? What did that take for the year to get that 100 grand, right? How much time? But the only thing we don't consider is out of that clock is, it's supposed to be a clock, just so you guys know. Is what's that equity one day? Out of 25 plus properties and growing, right? There could be $1 million there. There could be 500 grand. I don't know. Plus. So you got to look at that too, as like the big picture. That's why real estate's such a long game. That's what I like. But here's the other thing I wanted to say on top of this is I like wraps better, although there's more risk, in my opinion. I don't like lease options because you know why? Some states I'm responsible more than I am for this. So like I might have to replace this roof in Tennessee, where maybe in Arizona it's not in there. I don't have to do it. I'm just making that up, but I might be responsible for that roof if it fails under a lease option. And if I have a 5-year thing, next thing you know, I got to put a roof on for 5K. That's all my, my profit's gone or whatever it is, right? With the wraps, it's sure they can damage it. There's risks on all of it, but however, I just want to get away from essentially being a landlord. That's what I said. Like if I'm not in that area and we don't have any assets in that area or any people, for me, lease options were like, the responsibility went up a little higher because if you stop paying, I still have to pay the debt. If you stop paying on a wrap, I still have to pay the debt. It's just foreclosure process.
It's so funny too, perspective, right? Because so when I was in the vault last night catching up on family nights, it's funny because Pace is the exact opposite. He prefers the lease option over wraps. And so like you said, it's the season that you're in, where you're at, what your business is doing, and then your risk. You have a very higher, more risk tolerance. Although I was laying in bed, the last couple days, we've been talking about wraps a lot. I'm like, man, maybe in 2025, I want to do a wrap,
we should do one together.
Okay, so we'll do a wrap. And so it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, you just gotta
He's in.
Chris just isn't in the season
How
of
about we
wrap
get
yet.
Chris to find the deal and we'll do the wrap with Chris.
Okay, let's do it.
I love it. So to answer, I think Kayla's question, it's I do dislike the final decision of this person should move into this house. I don't like that. And I have no issue assigning a deal for someone that wants to turn into a wrap because I'm assigning a deal to an investor that I know has the cash reserves, the ability to weather any badness. And I think the differentiation is since we mostly work with investors. I love it. So to answer, I think Kayla's question, it's I do dislike. Nope.
There was an echo.
Something. But the we mostly work with investors, and the investors we work with, we know that they have the cash reserves to weather any downtime. And I don't feel that same confidence working with an end buyer. And maybe the RMLO can help with that, but I think that's the difference. Where the investor, I know this is their business of being involved in this, they should be able to weather it. Where I don't know if I have that same confidence for a homestead buyer. And I think that's the root difference, like why I'm more pessimistic about wraps.
Yeah. Well, okay, 2025, we're gonna do a wrap.
I
Yeah,
already texted Andrew. I'm on board to go through this again. We'll work with you guys to do it, but again,
Jack said too, and I think that's one of Pace's biggest things. Although you can get tax on the wrap sometimes, which I don't, or no, yeah, executory contracts and the lease options and all that. But I know Pace wants his taxes. He wants those taxes, but he also,
yeah.
again, season, I don't know, and he
Yeah.
has that risk. Now, I would probably agree with him where build the team, have humongous cash reserves where, you could take on 100 people not paying, 200 people not paying, it's still okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
That will sink me. So there's, again, huge season, but again, preference, but I do like the options. Some folks they're all about land trusts, all
Mhm.
about the trust, right? Whatever. But I think it's cool. I think it's cool to monetize deals. So that's what I'm gonna say. Like someone like Joe. Joe came on earlier. He's like, I don't even know enough about this. That's cool. He sees opportunities. I think what the thing here is, guys, it's taking that rag, you throw it on the spill on the kitchen floor, you take it out and you wring it out, right? And it's how much can I get out and how much can I absorb, whatever it is. Again, my analogies are not the greatest, but what I'm trying to get at is you can squeeze out these opportunities if you have the right who's. You're absorbing these opportunities and these leads and these opportunities. I mean, some people are really damn good at monetizing because they know how to just dish it out. It's something I'm working on too, because I felt like if it doesn't smack me in the face, sometimes we're so busy, I can't give you a moment. I can't even look at it. Others are so efficient and so good at it, they get to just dish it out. And I think that's the name of the game. If you can find the right team, the right people to do it, um, I think it's really great.
Yeah.
And you can almost build like a coalition. It'd be pretty cool, like a little, I don't know, little team that would be focused.
Like a
I don't
little
know,
hub,
like a little what?
like a wrap hub.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was like. I was just thinking, I'm like, I wonder out of your 15 TCs in your business, can we just make like two of them rap specialists? And
Yeah.
that would be
We
pretty
can
awesome.
totally chat about it. Jess had her
Yeah.
hand raised.
What up, Jess?
Oh goodness. So going back to kind of what you're saying about reps not like taking so much time and not being able to focus on that, instead of like a unicorn real estate agent, what about like a unicorn underwriter? Someone who has been in the business and can like assess and look at the risk level so that you
Hon-
can get through that bottleneck faster.
I honestly, I have never spent any time vetting buyers. That's the one thing I can tell you. Like we vet buyers early on, we were not vetting them as deep, and that was just again, we recognize the problem, you learn, and we adapt, and we thankfully have made the right decisions with these folks. Um, but like underwriting is as good as the paper it's written on.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. I
It's
think
protecting us.
I think also too that RMLO in the wrap situation is acting as the underwriter.
Yep.
They are doing basically the loan process without doing the loan process. And so there should be confidence in what they are giving back to you. Now ultimately, here's your package of information you ultimately decide, but it's just like anything, right? Here's your numbers for the deal. You decide if it's a good deal for you or not. So it's like you gotta I think I think you're definitely onto something with that like ultimate underwriter. If you have an underwriter that knows the property and then you have them working with the RMLO, but really the RMLO should be that ultimate underwriter in my opinion.
They
So
are.
finding a good RMLO that you trust that can just go, yep, they're golden, because then even yesterday we talked about, and Jess, I don't know if you were on there, but like um we're talking about the buyer pool, right? Entrepreneurs are, in my opinion, good rat buyers because they can't qualify for a traditional loan if they haven't been in the business long enough or they
Yeah.
haven't had their business long enough, right? Because they have the money coming in, but yet they don't have the W-2 income or the tax returns, again, depending on how long you've been in business, right? So, they're good rat buyers. So if you have the RML going, yeah, they're so qualified, they just don't have those, tax returns, or their LLC's not long enough, or they pivoted and, now it's something else. Like, that RMLO is the ultimate underwriter.
Yeah. Jess, I can tell you this. I told the story before, but in particular, we use the example in Jacksonville that we have a deal. Ari was part of that deal. Ari had the deal, brought it to us. We did it. And, I asked typically one of the questions, listen, we don't have 5 people, 7 people coming at these houses like it was, like the heyday of the line down the street. I wish it was that. Sometimes there's a lot of good competition. Or you'll have a buyer's list built up, but they're just, they didn't execute. They maybe got cold feet. You got to warm them up. Maybe it wasn't the right deal for them. But you can still keep them on your buyer's list. But there's not a plethora of people coming at us usually. So if you have someone hot to trot, I'm using some like weird ass terms, but hot to trot that's coming at you, they want this house. Alyssa liked that one, hot to trot.
Hot to trot and
Like
Plinko and
my grandmother would say that.
I think also too, looking at, so I can't remember who it was, but I had a client in my past life who was one of the credit bureaus, and I was on a conversation with them. I was just like, there was some talks with the Biden administration of bringing your credit score in-house, which obviously would slow down the mortgage process completely. So I had asked him, I was like, what are your thoughts on this, and how are you going to like deal with this if it happens? And he's like, we'll move to a social credit score system. So starting to pull people's driving records, their utility bills, things like that, that will give them a sense of the level of risk so that it wouldn't slow them down on their mortgage process. So like, why not ask somebody for their driving record? Why not ask for somebody for their utility bills? You're shaking your head.
You're thinking, well, first, I know you and I are friends. We've been friends for a long time. And I was like, just don't go into the Chinese conspiracy thing right now. I didn't want to say it out loud.
No, I
No, I
mean,
know. I was
it's
joking. But it's like the social credit score, like you said, totally admire it, totally get it. But what I'm getting, some folks don't have driver's license. I think we're missing.
Oh, that
we're
I didn't
missing
even think of.
Yeah, no, and that's great. Utilities, all those, we're literally talking sometimes about undocumented folks who are
Yeah.
working at a farm, and because we're isolated, Jess, up here. Like I'm talking farm workers that are. We had a place in South Carolina, and I think the buyer was. It was like again something new to me. They were like a tomato farmer or a lettuce farmer. I'm like, oh yeah, that's something different. We don't have that up here, and they make cash money. And the point before we jumped in, hold on 1 second. I was in Jacksonville. We asked for like, hey, the basic underwriting I'll do is this. You have the down payment. Can you guys cover the down payment? Yeah, no problem. Often, just folks are telling us, how do we pay more? We can't take more sometimes. Some people said, I want to pay $100,000 down. I can't take it because the difference of equity and, I would have to go take that money and pay it on the principal on the main house. I don't want that. And there's other ways you can sometimes extract some of that cash, but it's unethical and we never chose to do that. However, we would try to maximize the down payment we could take because it's in our equity spread. So some folks want to give more cash. They have it under their mattress. And the case in point, the guy goes, he had a cab company and he goes, is this proof enough insurance? And he showed the photo with his leather bank bag that he deposits, and it was just stacked with money. And I'm like, that's good for me. And it was 25 grand. So
is that the guy that also died too?
He died after he bought it from us. So that's the other thing. It's like, you get it back, do it again. Sad, right? Scenarios happen, but we are a lender. We are a bank at this point. We're investors and we're the bank. That's what the bank would do.
Yeah.
So we have to essentially, that's where that line gets drawn, but that was approved. That's all we said. Can you cover it? Sure. Then you graduate to the next step. Cool. You're in the application process. It's going to cost you some money. Just so you know, they're committed. These folks are committed now. This isn't a rental agreement. A catastrophe in their life would have to occur for them not to pay most often. And we're talking catastrophic no matter what, no underwriting is going to stop that ship from sinking. So in my opinion, that's what I think we've done best is like, just qualify them verbally, have some conversations, and you build that trust and you understand this person might not be a good fit. There's a couple of those we were like, can they? And at the end of the day, they didn't wash out for a reason. Honestly, I can think of a few in one particular that we questioned and that person didn't even end up buying it. So send them to the underwriter. That's the final answer. And we've barely touched that side of the business. If you got the
Hey,
money,
Jack had a question, which he says with all wraps, if they die, you get it back. So I would say the answer to that, Jack, is no. In this scenario, it was different. In this specific property that Justin was talking about, yeah, they were still in the lease option period.
how about this though? All right. There's my little skull. Crossbones. This was a recorded document in Florida.
Mhm.
And the shitty part of this is that we had to get a death certificate and to prove, even though the lease option expired, this guy, his window of giving us the next $25,000 or $20,000 was coming very soon before he died. So he gave us $25,000 and we said within 6 months, give us the next 20 or some odd thousand you owe us to then execute to be the wrap owner. You'll get deeded. But for now, you're gonna buy it on a lease option for 6 months. So if you follow me, 6 months, it's a payment plan. We're going on a payment plan. You're gonna give me the $50,000 in 6 months. At that time, you will do the official close. We'll transfer the title into your name. You'll be the wrap owner. You'll own this house. And yeah, he died shortly before that second payment. Even recording that lease option, him dying and he not executing it, failing to execute, they still fought us on removing that. So again, hurdle, figure out how do you overcome it. Those are things that come up too, right? It's not so cut and dry as everyone would say. It's like, oh yeah, it's a lease option. Just get rid of it. They don't execute, find someone new. Yeah, you can, but I can't sell it on a wrap right now until that's removed because it's clouding title.
On the flip side, like on all of your wraps and long-term stuff, like how do you put that on your end to protect if you die? Like, is that like,
oh, I have a trust.
Or what?
Yeah, my wife's, she's constantly looking for me to like fall off cliffs and whatnot. Because, yeah, it's already been set up. So we have a trust.
Gotcha. Okay.
So what happens? I mean, I'm not the professional in this at all, but there is the trust up here, right? Then we have our holding company, and then it's like we branch out in all these different LLCs. But at the end of the day, if I own this one with Andrew Murray, this LLC, and this one might be with Ted Miller, and this one's with whoever, myself. My portion of each of these all goes back into here. It's still overseen by the trust.
So you don't have to every deal go in and file something that's just automatically part of that trust. So it just is basically a part of that every deal.
Because everything's owned, because everything that I subsequently do business going forward is my holding company is the person on the operating agreements.
Gotcha.
So that everything's always included. So like, for instance, we bought 2 houses in Pennsylvania. It's owned by like 3 different people. All of our holding companies are not, or your LLC, personal. It's not my business with who you are or what you're doing. Of course, I want them to be an LLC or trust. All of those are members inside of that.
Interesting. Okay.
That one LLC. So it doesn't say Justin Tumanowski inside of that one properties LLC. It says 1-6 Capital. So that's I did the same thing when I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I do have to put that as the owner. So all of those LLCs are their owners. So business is owning a business.
Because I'm assuming that's like probably one of the common questions people ask of like on wraps or these creative ones is like, what happens when I die or if you die? Because at least I've gotten asked that all the time, and I'm like, well, that's a roadblock right away. That I'm like, well, I don't know how to answer that.
Oh, well, so you're talking about even like what a sub-2 deal?
Just sub-2 and wrap, just anything where you're kind of assigning, but you're still a part of it as a silent kind of bank.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood some of that too. So yeah, it's really just coming down to making sure that your affairs are in order. So yes, um, you got to make sure that that mortgage still gets paid and the operation still keeps going, right? That's essentially what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what the name of the game is. You have to make sure that your affairs are in order. If you're going at it solo, I would imagine you probably only have a couple things going on, right? And unfortunately, most likely those will fall off, right? They'll probably foreclose. Or if everyone in the wrap, let's say you had 3 wraps and you died, you were a note holder in those. Well, they can't get a release unless they get a release from your estate. At some point in time, if someone goes to cash out that note or goes to pay you and the bank is shut off because it's in probate and you can't take any money. I'm going in the weeds here, but it's been experienced. Yeah, like someone has to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, that makes sense. Interesting.
But if someone's stopping you and the note gets foreclosed on,
well, this is what
unfortunately, unfortunately on that sub 2 deal, the original seller is going to be paying the price for that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hope that answered it.
No, it does. It does. That makes sense.
Sorry, I went in the weeds there, guys.
I have a question, Justin, in terms of like the guy who died and you were in the process of taking it back. I'm assuming there was like not a note and a deed transferred over to him like in his name. It was just like a seller finance or rent to own situation, because like what if he put it in an LLC or put it in a trust himself?
It's
Yeah,
just a
that
lease
one was
option.
a lease option, and so the deed hadn't transferred yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Jess, so we had this one. Yeah. So it's a lease option. We own it. So, I'm just going to put me, it's JT, who's the owner. And then I forget this guy's name. We'll call him Andrew Murray. He's the lease option buyer. So we said to him, sure, you could buy this deal, but it's going to be $50K down. And,
Yep.
And I think you understood, he gave us, let's just say 25. The first, he took possession, so month 1. And then he was supposed to give us another 25K within 6 months. And then he would have been deeded.
Okay.
So that he would have executed in order to execute the transaction was that 50 grand. He would have had to execute either the lease option at 50 grand. It's almost the cost of doing business, Jess, is how we look at it. And they call it an option fee. And it's just that, to execute this deal, it's going to cost you this. That's your down payment. But you can temporarily rent to own, buy it. We leased it to him essentially. It didn't even come off the mortgage price. Every payment he made did not come off the mortgage. Rather than a wrap deal, pays down the mortgage. Follow me on that one?
Yep, I'm following you completely.
Yeah. So like every payment was just like a rental payment. But he was locked in. He recorded, so that lease option, it reflected how much the terms we set. We set the terms at $50,000, 25 now, 25 anytime between now and 6 months. If you fail to execute, we do not have to follow. We don't have to extend that obligation of letting you purchase. You lost your 25 grand. You lost all the money we gave you. And actually, if we choose to sell this home or do anything now from this point on, we can do that. It's our liberty to do that. Now, I could not sell the house to anyone else while I'm in that lease option. Unless there's some sort of agreement that we all agree upon that I'm going to sell it to Jess right now. I'm going to relinquish my duties. Jess is going to take over this client, this person.
Essentially, I'd be owning a note, not necessarily. I'd be owning the agreement you had with him.
You can sell that note. That's a good one. But like, even when you're in a lease option right now, let's say that I gave you 5 years to buy my house. You gave me 50 grand. But then I'm like, year 1, I'm like, shit, the value just went way up. I can sell this thing right now and make way more money than I'm going to make with Jess. What do I do? I can't sell it. You and I are in a locked agreement unless we figure out how to get you out. Right? So you're locked in. We're doing business with that person. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I don't know. They're pretty cool. I think. Anyone have anything else to add?
I don't have a stat on this, but I know from those that do lease options or even PACE or other investors that talk about lease options, 5 years, the option to buy, most of the time people don't execute the option. So then
70%.
okay, 70%. You got the stat. So yeah. So if you do that route, and I know that's why Alyssa can probably speak to this too, of why Pace likes the lease options, is because then you're on to the next one. You do it again.
It was 70%, Kayla, and that was a paceism too. So we don't know if that has changed. Just like the average $15,000 assignment was like the wholesale number for a while.
What is the
Uh,
average? I don't know.
The average wholesale fee at one point was about $15,000 per transaction, but that's like a 2022 stat in the heyday.
Oh, we're
I'd be
going
very,
to 25. So it's got to increase, right?
I know, girl, you got to get up
Higher
on that
now.
chat GPT.
Inflation.
You got that moonlight.
Yeah.
Come on, let's
Yeah.
keep
Why
going.
is that? Why aren't people executing on it? Is it they just don't have the money for the balloon payment, or they're not? Okay.
Yeah, I think
Well, you
just
got to think how much life changes in 5 years. The average
Exactly.
person moves every 7 years. And that's even just sorry, I've got a baby, a traditional real estate stat. And so, like, and this is an investor thing, right? Me and my husband are investors too. The longest we've been at a house right now is 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to pay that down payment for that, lease option or whatever. But, life changes. So then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, we got to move or we want to go do this project somewhere else. And you just don't execute on it.
we hate this house. We're
It's
sick of
too
this house.
big, right?
We outgrew
We
it.
moved in and we had one. Now we have 2 kids. There's not enough room in the garage, and so it's just life changes.
I love that. It's true. It's so true. And that's again another reason why Pace likes it. And I think he was very verbal on this early on was you get to rinse and repeat again. So Jess,
Yeah.
again with the gentleman, imagine I kept saying this. Imagine he gave us the $25,000 and then he died. I would feel I don't think I could take that money. I'd have to give it to that family, or at least take a portion of it. Right? There is a business side of this, but there's that rinse and repeat. If I wanted to, I could take the 50 is what I'm trying to say. He
Mhm.
died. The family said, I'm done. I can just go and find someone. We found a Russian couple that came in. They needed a house. They're coming to the States. They're brand new. I think they were fleeing. And they came in there. I think they're under a lease option right now with us. So again, let's say I asked for 30. That's $80,000 we just got in the course of a year. So like it could be lucrative on that side of it too. It's you got to be able to play the game. But that one, I think that was like the one bonus we had out of that deal. It was a tougher deal. We held the note for like 6 months, paid the mortgage on it for 6 months. So again, why you got to weather the storms, why you have to have the ability to hold these deals.
Was that the longest, Justin, on a wrap that you held it before finding someone, 6 months, or what was the longest?
I think that was about it. I think that was the one that was the most painful one in a way.
Gulfport was up there too, wasn't it?
Jess jumped on that deal. We have a long-term tenant. Jess, what do we have? A long-term lease?
Yeah,
Yes,
I saw the finance.
Yeah, but they're on a lease option.
It is, yes.
Do you remember? I think
It's a rent to own.
yeah,
And
so it's a
they
lease.
owe you a lump sum in, I can't remember what the terms are, but yes.
So yeah, Gulfport was one. That was a JV with a real estate agent. I was trying to look this up on ChatGPT. I can't do two things at once. I was trying to find that Kaila question. But yes, Gulfport had a sub-2 deal, like pretty much a brand new house. And what we wanted to find is like it was impossible to find this like the perfect wrap buyer, but we found some good lease option buyers. So what we ended up doing is they didn't have all the money for us. So I think it was like we were asking for like 25 grand or something. So I think she gave us like 13 within a year or two. Again, I'm ad-libbing now, or I'm just jiving because I think it's about a year or two. She's like, I'll execute with the other 13, or maybe I think we bumped it up, whatever the number is, make it worth our while with a predetermined price to purchase it too, or execute on. And she has to come up with that money, or she loses that 13 grand that she gave us. But and all the money that she's giving us every month, plus that difference. So Jess makes an interest payment, an interest rate on her money every month that she's in that deal as a lender. Jess, what are you in, like 20 or 25 grand in that deal?
25.
Yeah, so Jess gets an interest accumulated or however she gets the distributions on it is it comes out of the top end or the back end of that deal on the cash flow. So a lender could make good returns on this guys too. And that's what we were talking about, but you don't want to get your lenders in a jam where if, like, for instance, Jess lends on the deal with us and I don't have a pot to piss in. And next thing you know, the mortgage goes, they're not paying on us. Jess isn't getting her money. We're not paying the mortgage. It gets foreclosed on. Jess loses her 25 grand. So that's where people were getting in trouble where when the shit goes south, they don't have the money to pay that mortgage. As Kaila said, what's the longest one? We had Jacksonville. I think we had it for like 5 to 6 months. So that's a $2 or $3, $1,800, $1,900 payment for 6 months. So
12 grand, yeah.
So that's where people get in a pinch. What do you think? Chris there? Let's grab some of his money.
Yeah.
Chris left.
No, he had to leave. He left. I did ask
right.
Chad. I asked Chad about the assignment fee. Maybe I asked it incorrectly, but it tells me 5K to 20K and the mid range is 10 to 15K.
All right. That's it. 10 to 15. I think that's the number. What about the lease option? People executing on their lease option.
Let's see.
What is the number of people who execute a rent to own lease option agreement? That would be really good. Guys, anything else for Alyssa, Kaila, Andrew, Andy? I want to make sure they're good. Carrie's gonna be doing some lease options. Joe, looking for opportunities.
Yeah, I've got pitch deck and prospectus written down. And I know, again, so for what it's worth, I'm going full time here. So before I was W-2, you know what I mean? So I'm starting to take that plunge. So this is going to be a focus for me. So I'm looking at absorbing as much as I can.
Love that, dude. Hey, I'm gonna side chat. I'm gonna throw you a little gem. Let me see if it loads. 1 second.
Chat told
Kaila,
me 20 to 30%. Will
execute?
Will execute.
Damn, Pace Morby's right.
Maybe he
80
used chat. He doesn't use chat. He told me.
They didn't have that in like 2020, did we?
No.
Damn, 80 to 70 to 80% are not executing. So again, your moral compass, maybe people are like, my moral compass is that I don't want to take that from people. Most likely you're probably not going to be a real estate investor, but I can see all sides of it. Joe, on the side, you're going to load, it's a 23 megabyte Gardner, Maine PDF. It's our prospectus. I'm pretty sure it's the right one. Bro, it's pretty comprehensive. It's detailed just as far. I think you might even need something like this for where you are at, just to depict where you're in Vermont, dog, like where that investment is. I know that's going to be a challenge. That's probably one of the most challenging states to ask people for money from, not around here.
Yeah. So, we've had this problem for so long. We've been having this conversation so often. We've started to create a little bit of a list of some people that say that they're open to it. But we were first going through so we knew nothing about DSCRs, and having those conversations, you learn that some people want the project to be at a certain stage before they will really kind of give you a valuation or anything like that. So yeah, I agree with you. It's not people aren't beating on the door to lend there, but it's got a lot of going for it in terms of this property is not in like the sticks, you know what I mean? It's not in the middle of car country.
I love it. Yeah, and Pace is doing some lending. I know that. I can't tell you that they'll do it here, but I know they're doing second position loans and whatnot. So if it is right, if you do the prospectus right, and you get that over to Molly's team, I think it's Molly's team, right, Alyssa? Are they doing the lending?
I think it's more Jade.
Oh, it is Jade. That's right. That's right. Either way, they'll look at it and maybe they'll be enticed. I know, like, for instance, we had that great deal in Vermont. Pace is like, I'll do it. He goes, here, go throw that bow. Bo tore it up, but like he doesn't understand Vermont. He's like, that's too far for airports. I'm like, New Englanders don't need an airport to
Right.
travel. They go staycations.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, and that's why
And
I also said Rhea too, because Rhea already has her place in Vermont.
yeah, Mount Snow.
Yeah.
So Joe, how
Uh,
far from Mount Snow are you? Because that would be more of the like more enticing for her to jump on something like this.
Um, I'm not a geographic expert, but I know it's 15 minutes from Killington.
So Google it.
Yeah. Mount
But
Snow.
yours is 15 minutes from Killington?
It is.
Nice.
And dude, like, in terms of like exit strategies, it's just, boutique hotel, right? You guys know Alyssa, she's got a hotel in Vermont as well. Again, it's 7 units and the basement's 1,000 square feet. That's undeveloped as well. So again, different conversations, but the challenge is like I feel like I get it, I see it, and when I talk to people, it comes off like either crazy or people don't see it as lucrative. And I know that I'm biased because I'm in the deal myself, but I really do feel like the more I peel back the layers and the onions of this region, it's like I feel like it's a on that hidden gem track. You're right. You've got what Walmart just announced they're going to go from the current Walmart to a super Walmart, and just all these like cool little things that you wouldn't know unless you were paying attention. And just again, like the
Thank you, Alyssa.
the housing shortage is it's either scary. A couple of years ago, people were living because of COVID in hotels. They had nowhere to go. So now they stopped that, and it was a little sort of like crime ridden for a little while. That's all surpassed, and now you have people who are on Section 8 because in those rural areas, it's very common to have government assistance, but still have a job and have good credit at the same time. It's just one of those weird things where it's a socialist type of a state.
Joe, quick question. All right. What does your partner, what does he feel about this? Because I think we're going off topic, but I think it's okay. What I want to ask, like, who cares about all the other stuff? You're not selling us here, right? But let's get to the brass tacks of it. What does your partner look like for it? What does he want? What does he want out of this? Is he flexible?
Absolutely. My partner, Mike, is completely flexible. We value the private money lenders. He's a friend. He's the one who helped us get started in real estate. So, we want to do right by him. Net, if we had to sell, we had to take on a partner. All options are.
Good morning. How you doing?
Give it 1 second.
Yep.
Okay. How many partners in this deal?
Then just he and I, and then the seller's in first position.
Okay. And you're going to cash out, and the seller is going to be staying in this deal?
Again, it all depends on how we design a path forward, right? We want to keep the seller. It's 4% for 40 years.
All right. Yeah. That means yeah, they're going to stay in there if you can. The other thing is you could shift. How much is debt on there? So it's 40-year, but at 4%, how much is the debt?
280.
Oh, that's nothing. Ask if you can cross collateralize this.
Okay.
You know what that means?
Yeah, yeah.
Can I give you a house that's worth 500 grand as collateral?
Yeah. So we did touch on that. And it was actually I kind of I did some voice memos with you a couple months ago, and I did broach that topic. So the answer is yes from the seller to be able to.
Okay. Yeah, because that would be one of the strategies if we had to. Like I'm literally doing that on a couple of deals, and I don't know too many people are doing it. We do it with some different recordings in some different ways, but it's like I'm putting it out more and more. But I would say that's also a strategy to keep that 4% at 280, leave it alone untouched. And to then if you have to bring someone in first position, you could keep that other person somewhere else for now, even if it's just temporarily. Because you might want to bring in a private money lender if you did, and they're going to come and go. And then you could refinance now and then come back and put that lender back on or cross collateralize. So there's different ways, but also I think at the same time, there's probably something underlining here where you don't want to get in the same trouble. Construction, management, those are all issues that I think that are probably going to rear their head no matter what. So like that's where I would say like you probably do want to bring someone else in anyway, just to maybe help execute and or organize this. But that might be a different hangout Zoom.
Okay, yeah.
Anyone have anything to add, or they want to talk about wraps or anything? Oop. Good little mix around. I know Alyssa left, so that's sad, but she has family obligations. I know Kaila too, but Kaila, anything from you?
I don't have anything else to add. I thought this was great. I know I missed the other two that you guys did, but really just comes down to, like you said, the season you're in, what you want to focus on, not having that shiny object syndrome, right? But we all go in different seasons and just knowing that risk and reward.
Yeah, I know that we talked about some risk and how like I loved how Alyssa and maybe even you said, hey, we're not really doing any of those. We don't do them, but maybe we will. And even Chris. So that excites me too, because we don't want to do a ton of them like we used to, but would I pick up 5 a year? 5 a year at something when they're nice and juicy at maybe they make $1,000 a month. Those would be cool, right? Those are really, and you can manage that. So I love that we talked about that. And then, yeah, I love all the different questions from adversity to, or another perspective to insurance. But Andrew, we have everyone's email, right?
We do.
All right. So no one is in here without an email, because what I want to do is we'll email the PDF out, guys. I'll put it all together and I'll give everyone the PDF that came. Whether you use it or not, share it, put it out there, do something with it if you guys want. Other than that, I think we're going to also put out, there'll be a couple other things on the attachment. So stay tuned on that. And like, again, for those who are with us here and on the other Zooms, some of them are in the community. We want to,
for bringing value in the future, right? Any advice or comments from you folks on like what you would be looking for these conversations, like in the future in terms of opportunities, potential locations, anything that you kind of, I could be thinking in the back of my head if I come across them in conversations, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
well, so I'd say look at all the opportunities, right? So I think it's looking at them, knowing the exits, and being able to evaluate pretty quickly. So, hey, this one, they're willing to give their mortgage away. They need to give their mortgage away, but it's, it's at retail or it's at rent value. Could still make sense. It's at, or like I used the example yesterday, Joe, is I bought a deal in New Hampshire and I'm very bullish with anything creative in New Hampshire. So Andrews and I bought this house. It's we have over 100 grand into it. But A, we don't want to get rid of it. B, there's upside that we had to dig out and it will be okay. But if you looked at it on paper, you'd be like, no, thank you. I'm staying away from a $400,000 house with $100,000 plus down. But we're going to put ADUs and it's going to be a co-living spot. It's all good. But we had to mold it. So I would say you got to talk about the opportunities that you do come across, but also not wasting time as far as making sure that it's ready to go to contract. And if it's even if you got under contract and it's malleable and we can manipulate it a little bit more, that always works.
Yep.
So yeah, speak up. And then when you get big deals, let's speak up again.
What about big deals in Massachusetts?
Yeah, I would do them. We're bullish now. We're back in New England a little bit heavier. So we're going to go after, we're doing the micro-family stuff. And we're going to be speaking on it a lot more, especially with pace. So small multis and conversions. I think that's the name of the game. And that's what we're specializing in the things we can actually touch.
Yeah.
That's where, deals that are heavy construction across the states, it's harder for us. We might know it. Executing and knowing are two different things.
Yep.
So, but yeah, dude, let's get closer in the circle is what I'd say to you.
Yep. No, absolutely. I want to help out any way I can. So, I've got more bandwidth.
And we have good backup. We got a girl sitting in here, Kaila. Jess is a TC2. Kaila and Alyssa are, watch our back heavily. So that's the one thing I would recommend too. Making sure you're lined up properly with your TC and people are watching your back. Like that's an easy one where you can hire out in a sense and have an alignment. And that's like a ghost third party watching your back. Like they're not always there, but they're there.
We're there.
You guys are there. So I just want to preface that.
Love it.
Andrew.
No, love it. Really appreciate everybody. The thing I'll say is, obviously doing raps, just find the who's, don't go at it alone. I mean, that's with anything. I think raps, I don't want to stress that 100 times over. We've seen way too many things go bad in raps when people they get super hungry, they go at it and they find themselves in not a good spot. So,
Oh, we should have talked about those deals. The one that we just got a call back from the girl who bought it. I don't think we should now.
yeah.
It's a
But
good
the other thing
look.
I'm going to say is like, and Joe, even for you, like looking for private money lenders, obviously networking. We have an event that we're doing in February, with just getting in the right rooms with people, networking, finding partners, PMLs.
Oh,
Um,
those girls had money. Those two agents.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Dude, big money.
Yeah.
I think her
And
husband was
yeah,
a doctor.
yeah, but again, it's just going out and finding those partners, getting in rooms where other people want to be there too, right? People that are, paying to get into rooms, are filtering themselves away from 95% of the other population. So, yeah, I would love to see everybody there in February, in Boston. Um, where we can network, we can do deals together, analyze deals, learn strategies like wraps, other exit strategies that we'll touch on. But yeah.
But it's also, it is building the in-person environment. Joe, yeah, what events are you going to? Are you going to like any of the realtor ones locally, like just the free meetups?
So I was at the one Urban Wild that you guys did.
Yep. Yeah, I know we talked.
Okay.
Are you doing any like real estate meetups, anything like that? Like not as cool as that one. That was a little bit more of like a
Yeah, no,
hangout.
no, not really. I'm not doing many real estate meetups now.
Yeah, when I was talking about close to the vest, even like I couldn't verbalize it, but it's still that too. It's getting outside. And I think what I was sensing too is more or less just be uncomfortable going out into a room. There's one meetup that they have once in a while that I would recommend. It's local, but it's mostly real estate agents. And you'll get a couple of blue collar guys that come through that are just starting to hear about. Like I was one of those. It's my first meetup. But I can get that sense that you also need that. And what you'll do is in a room like this, it's the same size, right? You got 15, 20, 25 people. And there's a lot of tense, but then when you start to work it, Andrew was there too. It's like we all just kind of loosen up. I've been to the 2 days, 3 days, 1 days, and you loosen up. Even at a meetup, sometimes you can't hear each other, or it takes the second time to see that person, but it's a month calendar that you waited. But you do got to get in those rooms, get uncomfortable, and just talk about the story and talk about Vermont. And you go in there with intention. All right, I'm going to learn, and I'm going to find my money.
No,
Because then next thing you know, Kaila goes, I got a lender. I got someone. Jess shows up. That girl's always listening.
Yeah.
She's listening to my phone. She's like Steve Jobs at Apple, listening to my stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, I gotta say, like, the New England community and everything has been great. I'm getting as much as I'm putting in, so there's no, argument there. A few months ago, I was on one where Sandville and
Ashley?
no, one of the brothers, Fothergill, right?
Yep.
They were hosting it for you, and I came on and I talked about the Stoneham deal that we're doing. It's a bungalow, and we ended up subdividing the land. And Colin and Kyle were on the line, and we literally yesterday just closed on investor funds, and that all came from going to the the accountability call for the group, and I just brought the deal up, and it took a little while, but we had the time.
It's awesome.
I can't believe it. It's my first outside investor that's not friends and family. You know what I mean? And it just feels so great. And I really just want to give back, and I want to scream we are proof that this stuff works. And it's just crazy to think a couple of years ago, I was listening to podcasts on my AirPods and going to the gym. And then I went down the rabbit hole of YouTube and, met you guys in the last couple of years. And it's just awesome.
Yeah. I just wrote down podcast. So we got to talk about that story.
Yep.
Cool. That's a good way to end it. Anyone else
Yeah.
have any questions? Anything else? Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. Kaila, appreciate your time. Jess, Carrie, she's walked away. Joe, good to see you. Everybody else. Andrew, thank you so much, bro.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, all the stuff in the back end. Andrew's doing all that, the emails and the things and this and that. So good. Shell, I think she was in here. She's in the back end. And yeah, guys, if you have any suggestions on things you guys want to see, we like doing this. We'll do more. And I'm looking at actively trying to find another fun little things to do. I know we didn't go into all the 10 wrap commandments. We'll send those out. But yeah, we just want to make this fun. And again, this is also a local community. I get to see Joe. I get to see people stimulated to get outside and meet other people. And that's what this is all about. All right, guys.